2023, the average white household earned around $41,000.
Okay.
That is more than 80% above the average for a black.
Oh, and dog, you know, dog, like, I don't know if this is true, but I was asking my mom. Oh, hold on, wait. I'm good, man. Just called as Iceman. Hey, dog, it's called like Women's Hearts, dog. Because now, Jiggy Jiggy, it's called after we celebrate Women's Day.
Through these dodgy deals. With more than 97% of this coming from Eskom and Transnet, the state-owned rail and port companies. And what makes this unique is that the rot wasn't just at the top, it was at pretty much every level. Thieves literally stole
South Africa's just like quite blue, did you?
coal, fuel, oil equipment from Eskom.
Even his kids showed them. That's what I'm saying, dog. Like, nigga even put his kids on, bro. Nah, Zuma must put me on as well, bro. We're gonna have more rappers, we're gonna have more streamers, more content creators. We're gonna have more of those things, dog. Because, bruh, unfortunately, dog, this thing, bruh, and dog, reality is unemployment now is just gonna get worse, bro. It's just gonna get worse.
But really, really simply,
The ANC is always gonna be at the top, dog. As long as Boko Kobaru now wants to vote, the ANC is always gonna be at the top right now, dog. Because remember, dog, when they experience apartheid and all that, also. So, boy, it's chat, boy. I also wanted to check this one. What do you call this? Why nobody can fix South Africa? Joe, South Africa chill. Hold on. Skip ad. Pause more. Okay, wait. Okay, yeah. They're saying why nobody can save South Africa. But dog, South Africa can't do anything, dog. Like, Rona is the vibes, dog. I just want to see why they say nobody can save South Africa. Like, what's that like South Africa? It's South Africa fit too.
population.
Oh, sorry.
April 1994, Pretoria. Nelson Mandela is elected president of South Africa. A freedom fighter who spent 27 years in prison, his election marks the end of white apartheid rule. It was a moment of hope, for a new beginning, for a new nation. But fast forward to the present, and that hope is gone. South Africa today is the most unequal country in the world. It has the second highest level of unemployment and among the highest murder rates globally.
Facts.
It's a country blessed with
Yo. I think it's because we drink a lot, dog. Like lately, dog, we drink a lot and we spend a lot in terms of drinking, but we don't have jobs, bruh. Apparently, Sauta Ebola. Hey man. Oh, Sauta body.
But where 67% of the population lives below the poverty line and basic infrastructure is falling apart. How did this happen? In this video, we tell the story of how the country went from national liberation to economic catastrophe and ask how, if ever, it can turn this nightmare around. I'm Andrew for 220, and this is South Africa, the dream that didn't last.
The dream that didn't last. True. It's gotta be
It's
real.
impossible to talk about South Africa today without using one word: apartheid. The system of white minority rule that ran from...
Joe, wait, I didn't see the start. Sorry, dog. They said there's 67% poverty. I think, Joe, kita wa ya re batho ba ja chelete, Joe. Corruption, never fit. Ke corruption. Leta wa ya re but ba ba kodimo. The people at the top are greedy, wa fit.
Employment and among the highest murder rates globally. It's a country blessed with abundant natural resources, but where 67% of the population lives below the...
Dog, 67% of us basokolang, dog. Basokolang ke da phela now 67% thing phela I'm a struggling res student. Ang tol na robalaga ka diludl sa robalaga tla. I'm fit. 67% is a lot, bro. What?
the poverty line. And
That's more than half of the country, dog. Half of the country is in poverty, dog. More than half, bro. Like, that's insane, dog. Like, it's insane in terms of this whole thing. But
basic infrastructure is falling apart. How did this happen? In this video, we tell the story...
Madlanga could be shit. Otherwise, Joe. Otherwise, wait. Dog, and this thing of they always, what do you call this? But to Joe. Lately, Baba investigate, Baba said that Kibomang, Baba Zaka. That's why I didn't say when not just because you are part of the 67%. In China, you wish or ongaswana le my soul, ongaswana le ket matlalo ejo awitsi batho ba ba irile gore ba thole di zaka tse awitsi le ba dog, you don't know, dog. Until like you never know. So when I enjoy pillow about how the poverty, I know it's not nice, man. I feel to retlare get you. Until because no we enjoy lezaga e maria tronco. Until and I go tronco mojam te da fit. Until imagine, dog, would you rather stay in poverty or go to prison? Like, let's be for real, dog. Poverty, I don't know about or something, but in prison, you get food. Poverty, you don't get food like that. Okay, hold on. Now let's think about it nicely. Wait. Poverty or prison? Benefits of prison. There's no benefits of prison like that, dog. It's just that you have shelter, you have food, and you have a place to sleep. But when you're poor and poverty and all that, you don't have shelter, you don't have food, you don't have a place to sleep. Dog, like why don't criminals, dog, like just Baba treat them out, dog? Like instead of giving them shelter and all this shit, okay, but they're gonna escape. Ish. It makes sense now. Ish, I know it's bad. It's bad. But they need to make a plan, dog, for the people in poverty, bro. Because what do you mean, dog? A person in prison is living a better life than a person who's outside. Like, it doesn't make sense, dog. A person who's a murderer is living a better life than, dog. Orobala ajele.
Of how the country went from national liberation to economic catastrophe, and ask how, if ever, you can turn this nightmare around. I'm Andrew for 220, and this is South Africa, the dream that didn't last.
I'd rather be rich in prison.
It's impossible to talk about South Africa today without
because if you're rich, I feel like some people, I don't know if una lezaga, I know people know you and you have connections, and then so I feel like that's the benefit of being rich and all that in prison. I think, okay, now it makes sense, though. It makes sense.
Using one word, apartheid. The system of white minority rule that ran from the 1940s all the way to the early 90s. It was a form of racial segregation that politically and economically subjugated the black African majority as well as other ethnic groups. Apartheid didn't just come out of nowhere, though. It had its roots in the British colonial system that governed the country until 1931.
Okay.
As early as 1913, the British passed laws limiting where people could live and buy property, restricting black Africans, who made up 70% of the population, to only 7% of its land. The system really took shape following the election of Prime Minister F.D. Mallon in 1948. A hardcore Afrikaner nationalist, his government introduced apartheid.
Like, when I look at these things, like, you see now, the fact that there was like 70% or 77% of black people or something, 70% of people that has to share 7% of the land. It's crazy, dog. I understand why our grandmothers hate the white people and all that. Like, I understand, dog. Like, it makes sense why the people who still have a thing like the apartheid thing, it makes sense now, because dog, there's no way, dog. These people didn't care, dog. What do you mean? 70% of us have to share 7% of the land, like 7%, dog. Really 70. 70% of the population, by the way, of the population. Nah, get the black people, Bama South Africa. Get the foreign, was the foreigners at that time coming aside? I don't know. Mare, let's just say they're there. Kibo, Nevier, na. Tunzor Sherek of Emna Tunzor, yo, it's crazy. What's up, Diego? What's up? You know, Diego the bra?
Apartheid in its fullest, ugliest form. They classified citizens into a strict racial hierarchy, banned intermarriage, and segregated housing and employment opportunities by race. Black people had no voting rights, no political representation, and no economic opportunity. And from 1970, they didn't even have citizenship. This unsurprisingly created an incredibly unequal society. By the mid-1980s, the average life expectancy for black South Africans was only 58 years, versus 72 years for whites. In education, the government spent 88% less on black children than on white children. And in some sectors of the economy, such as manufacturing, black Africans earned 71% less than their white counterparts.
It makes sense why, dog, like our grandmothers and the what do you call this? the older people don't really be educated like that, because some of them didn't have high school. I think they only ended, I think, abafika grade 7, dog. I don't think they had grade 7 in primary even.
Parts in the same industry. But a system that denied even the most basic rights to its own citizens couldn't last forever. So by the 1990s, amid fierce civil disobedience at home, led by groups like the ANC or African National Congress,
Mandela.
international sanctions from most Western countries,
yeah, you
the
can't
situation
kill.
became untenable. The Afrikaner government, by this point led by
I'm
President F.
steady,
W. de
brother. How
Klerk,
are
knew
you?
that
How are
time
you?
was
How are
up.
you? How are you? Do you
The
gonna rap at the Buddha?
Klerk eased restrictions on black political opposition and released leaders like Nelson Mandela from prison, paving the way for universal suffrage at the 1994 election. Mandela, by now the leader of the ANC, won that election, marking a historic return to democracy. So apartheid was now over, but the task facing the ANC was immense. They didn't just have to turn over a new leaf, they had to rebuild an entire society.
Yeah.
And they failed, catastrophically. The ANC's whole purpose was to fix inequality. But get this, since the end of apartheid, the wealth share owned by the top 10% has actually increased, rising to a massive 90% by 2010. This insane stat puts South Africa far ahead of other crazily unequal countries like Russia and the US. In 2023, the average white household earned around $41,000.
Okay.
That is more than 80% above the average for a black.
Oh, and dog, you know, dog, like, I don't know if this is true, but I was asking my mom. Oh, hold on, wait. I'm good, man. Just cold as ice, man. Hey, dog, it's called like women's hearts, dog. Because now, Jiggy Jiggy, it's called after we celebrate Women's Day. Jiggy Jiggy. Jiggy Jiggy. It's raining after we celebrate Women's Day. Me, I'm just saying, my feet. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Household. And the list goes on and on. Unemployment has surged, and per capita real GDP is actually lower than it was 20 years ago. Put really simply, the ANC inherited a country scarred by decades of apartheid, but instead of fixing it, they ran it even further into the ground. And after more than 30 years in government, it is ordinary South Africans who are paying the price.
Hey, dog, I think, me personally, dog, I think the only person who, like, on inside Zama, Joe, and he didn't even jump, he's a dog, like, Zuma did his thing, dog. Like, he did his part, and he didn't even jump, he said they were chowing the money. They only realized after that he was chowing the money. Mara, there was no problems like that in South Africa, dog. Like, there were problems, yes. I wouldn't say South Africa wasn't a problematic country at that time. Mara, a lot of things went out in the public eye like that, dog. Kazuma, I talk Zuma, na personally, dog, as I get a Zuma, you go to Mfetu. The man Mfetu, the fact that Emena, Ubile Presidente, Aferize School of grade 3, Wanaka, drop it there out of grade 3, on done. After he goes on and outsmarts the people, because now, like we ate the money, all of us, dog. Like we were grand. That's what I'm saying. With Zuma, we all eat the money, dog. That's what I'm saying. I'm told. Let's on 350. I'm sure with Zuma, this 350, it's about 400 or 500 in feet. Something close to tower, maybe. Long told. Now to make us Zuma made sure grand, so that the realize or Ojazaka, long told. And Joe, imagine how smart do you have to be, dog. Or you dropped out. Grade 3, and then you fool the country like that. Yo! Hi, my friend, Zuma you go, dude. You guys don't understand Zuma, dog. Like Zuma is goated for real, dog.
South Africa's future didn't just vanish. No. It was quite literally stolen by the greed and corruption of its own government. And if there's one thing that best encapsulates the country's descent into the abyss, it's Eskom, South Africa's state-owned energy company. So let me tell you a story. The day is the 30th of December, 2022. Andre de Ruyter, the CEO of Eskom, is at the company's offices outside Johannesburg. It was a normal day.
Eskom.
Emails, meetings, coffees. But suddenly
with Zuma, dog, I don't remember having that much load shedding, dog. With Zuma,
thing changes. De Ruyter becomes dizzy and confused.
I don't remember that.
He starts vomiting and collapses and is rushed to the doctor. The diagnosis? Cyanide poisoning. De Ruyter survived, but the
not Rams, bruh. Zuma needs to write a book. Wangzol, Hapejo, Zuma needs to explain, or like how did you do that, bro? How, bro? And then on top of that, you are not president, ne? Mara the country, you have a whole province fighting for you, dog. The whole country, ne luta, dog. Or Zuma is arrested. Zuma must, and the one saying, I need to Zuma Boshile, Melevum kid. Imagine, dog. A whole country is looting for you, dog. Is looting for you. How potent do you have to be, dog? And you're not even president. I'm afraid to Zuma game. Yeah. Zuma. Skip the method, Zuma. Skip the method. You. Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But now it's already late, boy, because I'm gonna know Serferita school, Joe. We are already late, dog. The method was to drop out in grade 3. Drop out in grade 3 and lock in and try and find out, or like, what can you do, bro? Bro locked in from grade 3, dog. He's like, nah, school is not my thing, bro. Fuck that shit. I'm gonna lock in, bro.
The conclusion was inescapable. De Ruyter had become CEO of Eskom in 2020 and had led a massive crackdown on corruption and fraud at the company. And along the way, he had made some pretty powerful enemies, some of whom clearly wanted him dead. Eskom had gone from being the backbone of the South African economy to the personal piggy bank of its parasitic elite. The company once produced 95% of the country's electricity, but by 2023, South Africa suffered from power blackouts on 290 of the 365 days in that year, costing the economy more than $175.5 billion in lost output. And here's the thing, these rolling blackouts...
South Africa has had that kind of money, dog. Like, we've had 175 billion. I'm afraid to die. Or maybe Nagore, I grew up in the Kasi, maybe. That's why, like, and he's still trying the money even now. Even now, dog. This thing is a ghost, dog. Zuma, you go to a bit. But when did they remove him as the president? When was Zuma removed as president? He resigned. Zuma resigned. Dog, he resigned in 2018, dog, and he's still chowing the money even now, dog. Even now, 8 years later, dog, he's still chowing the money. Yo, I'm afraid to Zuma give him, yeah. Aye, bruh, skip the method, bruh. Yo, boy. Scamming the government for 8 years, boy.
Which South Africans call load shedding, were the direct result of years of theft and mismanagement by successive ANC governments. Systematic corruption, particularly during the Jacob Zuma presidency, saw millions of dollars extracted from the company in crooked contracts and procurement deals in a process that investigators have called state capture. So let's take an example. One of the biggest beneficiaries of state capture in South Africa was...
But like, I think Zuma resigned knowing that all of this is either gonna come out, or like after making sure it's okay now, me I got my bag and the country so the country's gonna suffer these kind of things. Then he's like, nah, let me resign. I think that's why he resigned, boy. Because there's no way, dog, you're just gonna resign out of nowhere, just in Chaka. From being a president,
Indian family called the Guptas. Arriving in South Africa in 1993, the Gupta brothers quickly established themselves as some of the most successful businessmen in the country, building an empire that spanned media, mining, infrastructure, and more. Their main mining interest was called Tegeta Exploration and Resources. And here's the thing, the Guptas just happened to be pretty good mates of President Zuma, and they used this connection to win Tegeta contracts to supply coal to Eskom.
Think about it, dog. This nigga, he managed to negotiate 235 million. Mara, in grade 3 you never learned about that big amount, dog. Like, yo, bro. Nigga had to lock in from a young age so that he knows how to negotiate this kind of money, dog. Because in school they don't teach you how to negotiate this kind of money. In grade 3 US, they don't, boy. That's why he saw this is a waste of his time. I'm told. Sheba no Tilagan was serious. Imagine if he didn't drop out in grade 3. Imagine, dog. Imagine. He knew what was going to happen, bro. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he knew, now it's chai, bro. It's chai, bro. Oh, so cool.
More than $235 million. In one of these contracts, Eskom agreed to buy $24 million of coal for its power plants, despite knowing that the coal wasn't even usable. And in another,
What?
Eskom agreed to prepay Gupta businesses $94 million to finance the purchase of another mining company, Optimum Coal. The deal made a fortune for the Gupta consortium, which just happened to include President Zuma's own son, who took him $20 million from it. Like, isn't that just an amazing coincidence? The Zondo Commission set up to...
Dog, like, how smart do you have to be that you drop out in grade 3 and you can orchestrate something like this, dog? Aye, why do you need school? This is why I don't need school, dog.
Corruption under Zuma estimated that in total, 57 billion rand, or around $3.4 billion, was extracted from the state through these dodgy deals, with more than 97% of this coming from Eskom and Transnet, the state-owned rail and port company. And what makes this unique is that the rot wasn't just at the top, it was at pretty much every level. Thieves literally stole
South Africa's quite blue,
coal, fuel, oil, equipment from Eskom.
Even his kids showed them. That's what I'm saying, dog. Like, nigga even put his kids on, bro. Nah, Zuma must put me on as well, bro. I'm fit.
On plants, with losses reaching more than $55 million per month. The result of the corrupt deals and theft was that by 2023, a massive 45% of Eskom's installed capacity was out of action due to breakdowns or maintenance, wiping as much as 1.8% off GDP that year alone. The decline of Eskom is a symbol of how the marriage of politics and big business pushed the country over the edge. And it took South Africa from being one of the world's largest coal and energy producers to a country that could barely keep the lights on.
Yeah, that's insane, bro.
The ANC's leadership hasn't just been corrupt. It's also been defined by naive economic policymaking that's worsened the very problems it was meant to solve.
Yes, we deserve I blew it. That's what I'm saying, dog. That's what I'm saying, bruh. Because, dog, you gonna understand, like, Ntwena. Yo, boy, so many people are gonna be there on the thing, dog, on the podium, talking there. Yo. Different points of views, dog, of how they blew the money and how they enjoyed the money also. How they chowed it, dog. Imagine, like, all of them, dog, decide to come out and talk with it, dog. Hey, me. Hey, dog, I charged like 50 million, or I charged, oh boy, yo, aye.
So when the ANC came to power after apartheid, their main task was to put the country's wealth back in the hands of its people, specifically the black majority. Their flagship policy for this was called Black Economic Empowerment, or BEE. And the goal was simple. They needed to increase black participation in the economy. At the core of BEE is the idea of a scorecard for firms, which is used to determine eligibility for licenses, permits, and contracts with state and public entities. And this is quite literally what it sounds like. Firms are awarded points across 5 different elements, ranging from black ownership, to management, to black-owned suppliers, to their overall public welfare initiatives. And this policy was clearly well-intentioned, but it's been a spectacular failure, both in its own terms of increasing black participation in the economy, but also in the broader development of the country more generally. So rather than transferring economic ownership into the hands of the black working class, it has instead...
I won't lie, dog. Somewhere, somehow, this nigga is losing me with some of this English, yo.
Been handed to a small group of oligarchs with connections to the ANC. By one estimate, up to 1 trillion rand, or around 6...
But Ket Matlala also needs to scare his... Hey, dog, Ket Matlala's method, dog. I need that one, boy. The Ket Matlala one. Ah, boy, I'm telling you, dog. Aye. That one, the goat of the goatest. The dog of the doggest. The ninja of the ninjas, that one. Nah, that one he's goated, bro. He is goated. Kete. Some feel like I got money bag. If I'm getting there, dog, I have the money bag somewhere, dog. I'm told. I saw the method. The first one is to get that money bag, and second, like easy after game. Yeah, I'm gonna get there somewhere, but not like that. 1 trillion moved between 100 political connected
61
trillion
US dollars.
Dog, can't tell how much does South Africa have, dog? But South Africa in a they are like, look, dog. Look at the figures being thrown out, dog.
Transferred to just 100 politically connected individuals. So let's take an example. And so if you want to understand how this worked, look no further than the country's current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, who built a fortune of $450 million in his post-apartheid business career.
Okay.
He did this by founding an investment holding company called Shanduka, which held stakes in, well, pretty much everything from telecoms to mining to real estate. Shanduka got these, in part, because both domestic and international businesses needed black shareholders to get things done in the country, which meant that Shanduka
Okay.
became the partner of choice for companies like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Glencore in South Africa. Meanwhile,
So you wanna tell me Ramaphosa he basically like owns McDonald's and Coke eng. So Ramaphosa is not only our president, he's also the president of Coke and the president of McDonald's. He's the president of our food and the president of our laws and our drinks. Yo, Ramaphosa greedy Joe. Aye, greedy. Aye.
being a black-owned investor
Ow.
allowed us to secure discounted stakes in lucrative opportunities. For example, when Shanduka became a 12% shareholder in mining group
Bro, South Africa has money. Think about that 600 million for protection. Dog, that's what I'm saying, dog. Like, I don't understand, bro, like how South Africa some way, somehow in certain things looks the way it does. Because again, dog, like with this money and all that, bro, besides the money, we also have like gold and all that, bruh. South Africa is supposed to be one of the richest countries, dog. Like, we have a lot of things, dog, that put us above the ranks of most of these countries. It's just that we mine the gold or the diamonds and all that, and then we send it over that side, they refine them. Yeah, we sell it that side in a lower price, but when they have the machines, they refine, they sell it to us in a higher price. Then we just lose our money. Like, I don't understand why do we have to do that? Instead of like trying to grab or like get machines like that or something like that, bruh. Obviously I know it's not gonna be something that's immediate, or it's gonna take a long time, dog, for not a long time like that, but probably like a year or two for us to get machines like that. But dog, it's better than suffering for years again, or for years we're gonna keep sending these things for cheap prices and then we're gonna have to buy them at higher prices, dog. That's the only way, dog. I feel like we can rise up again, dog, for the rand to actually hold its own value again.
I saw in 2005, it bought in at a nominal price of 127 Rand, or around $8 per share, but paid only 85 Rand per share, a more than 30% discount. It sold the shares to another BEE partner in 2011, netting a juicy $140 million profit in the
And
process.
obviously, bruh, if the machines are too expensive or anything like that, dog, you can negotiate, bro. You have the money, we also have the resources here, dog. Also, resources and like these diamonds and the things that we can mine and all that. We can use that, bruh. Also, come on.
Despite selling the shares at a 23% discount to the company's monthly average share price, presumably to create a
Long time no see, my guy. I need to. Hold on, sorry. When you played hide and seek. Whoa! Remember when we played hide and seek? Aye, wait, what is this nigga saying, dog? Whoa, what? What are you saying, my nigga? What? Hide and seek when, dog? When did we play hide and seek, me and you, now?
similar arbitrage
Yeah,
opportunity
man.
for the next BE. And so, instead of creating a new black middle class, what BE has done
Hey, man. Your tongue was vicious. Hey, my feet to my tongue. Hey, my feet to. Hey, what a rape. What are you chatting? My feet to.
is create a new oligarchy and to facilitate the kind of corruption we talked about earlier in the video.
Hi,
But it
my
hasn't been a
brother, wrong number, my brother. Oh, whatever. It's my brother or my sister. Hey, Shame, wrong number. I think wrong number, Jack.
In its own terms, it's been a complete disaster for economic growth in South Africa. One South African think tank estimates the total cost of BE compliance is around 145 to 290 billion Rand per year, or around 18 billion US dollars. That's equivalent to 2 to 4% of annual GDP. The need to comply with BE imposes a huge burden on South African companies, both in terms of sheer paperwork and by forcing them to buy from black-owned suppliers who may not be the cheapest or most suitable. And because the compliance requirements are less stringent for smaller firms, that creates a massive disincentive for
Hey, my guy. No. You see, he's even saying it's a wrong guy. Accept, my guy. Hey, you scared me for a minute.
growth. A 2026
20
survey of South African firms reported that 35% reduced net employment as a result of BEE compliance, while 40% reduced new investment and 50% reported reduced reinvestment as a result. The overall impact of this is a collapse in the average number of employees per firm, as you can see in this chart, as well as overall investment in the South African economy.
Yeah, bro, and this whole thing is only gonna get worse, bro, because the more we start moving into a developed country, or because we're still in a developing phase, if I'm not mistaken. If we get to a developed country, dog, look at the US, for example. In Walmart, dog, you can pay for yourself, dog. Like literally, that you don't need a cashier. We tell la petrol and all that. The unemployment rate, dog, it's only gonna go down from here, dog. We're still gonna have more DJs, we're gonna have more rappers, we're gonna have more streamers, more content creators. We're gonna have more of those things, dog. Because, bruh, unfortunately, dog, this thing, bruh, and dog, reality is unemployment now is just gonna get worse, bro. It's just gonna get worse.
Really, really simply, BEE was a nice idea, which has ultimately become a major economic distortion, crushing growth and deepening inequality. Okay, but let's be clear. BEE, it's not the only problem. It's actually just the most prominent of a set of market-unfriendly policies in the ANC that have held back the country's development.
Okay.
Take, for example, the ANC's 1995 Labour Rights Act. Intended to rebalance the injustices of the apartheid system, it gave employees and trade unions extensive rights around wage setting and job security. And it was great for workers, but terrible for firms. In the World Bank's now discontinued Global Competitiveness Report, South Africa ranked 124th out of 141 countries on flexibility of wage setting and 129th on hiring and firing practices. So, whilst these laws are good for people who have jobs, they have suppressed overall job creation in the country, particularly for smaller businesses. And that means weak economic growth. And
one thing I hate is that in South Africa, bro, the unemployment rate is down. The retrenchment things are high and all that, bruh, and they don't pay. So some people don't even get paid like that. And now you try and share your own plan, or like you make a plan, dog. Let's say you start selling, or you're a street vendor or something. Now you can't sell as a street vendor now because they're gonna tell you, hey, street vendors, their food kills people. You can't do anything, right? So now they close down your thing. It's chai for you that you can't buy. You can't sell. Cool. You start a small business. They want a cut from that business, dog. We get it a plan, dog. Like literally, they want a cut from everything. As if they gave you that opportunity, and they didn't, bro. Like they didn't give you the opportunity, because if you didn't do it. If you didn't do that, bruh, you were still gonna be hungry. You were still gonna be part of the stats, unemployment. So yeah, Joe, being in the media space right now in this generation is the main priority to the young ends, trust me. Yeah, because dog, they pushed us, bro. They pushed us as in like, people don't wanna work 9 to 5s anymore. And if we're being realistic, some of them, they don't want to work 9 to 5s because, okay, sharp, but they see the narrative that people are pushing. They just want the flashy life, the Instagram life and all that. That's why social media also ruined certain things, not only relationship, but also real life things, you understand? But another thing is, the reality is, even if I study to work a 9 to 5 job, in the next few years, let's say I finish my degree 3 or 4 years from now, sharp, cool, I get my degree, sharp, then I get a job. The following year I get a job, something. Now, let's say a few years down the line, 2 years, 3 years down the line, jiggy, now they're implementing robots, because right now AI is a thing. Imagine now you got a job at ShopRite, you've been working at ShopRite and all that. That's your daily bread. And now all of a sudden now, they firing all the cashiers now. They're firing all the cashiers. You started to become a teacher, and now all of a sudden there's no more teachers. Things like that, I'm told. So the reality is, some of the people are looking at it as, I'm studying to just gonna get replaced soon, dog. Because unfortunately, dog, they can replace people in so many areas, dog. So many areas, but you can't get a robot to sit here and stream, dog. You can't get a robot to make a video. I don't know. Maybe you can, but you have to buy to AI. Like I'm just saying, like you never told a robot it's a the zap on told. Nana knows when a robot or zap. Never way it's an idea on told. So everybody's trying to get into a space whereby I know what robots or like let me just say robots because most of those things get robots to be like robots won't really get into that space. And in the media space, the robots can't, dog. I don't think they can, dog. I don't think they can. I don't know if I'm making sense, though. Is it making sense?
Rampant unemployment. And it's where the deep irony of the ANC's policy platform becomes clear. The ANC thought that if they prioritized financial redistribution, then economic growth would come as an inevitable result of that. But
I'm still thinking about what I said, I don't think I'm making sense.
In reality, this focus on redistribution has crushed economic growth and employment in South Africa and harmed exactly the people that it was meant to help. South Africa is a tragic case of wasted potential.
Basically, what I was saying is, you're gonna study now to get that degree, and then get the job, work 2 years, and then now there's a robot now that's gonna replace you because now the robot can do your job. How? So you studied for nothing, I'm told. You did all of that for nothing, dog. Like for nothing because you're just gonna get replaced, I'm told. Things like that. That's what I mean, dog. And in the media space, I don't think they can replace us like that, dog. If we're being for real.
The country is blessed with extensive natural resources and a large, young population. But after years of mismanagement and corruption by its government, it has struggled to move on from its dark apartheid past. However, there's also a recent case for optimism. In the 2024 election, the ANC actually lost its 30-year parliamentary majority, forcing it into a coalition with several other parties. This new unity government has enacted structural reforms to try and turn the ship around. Chief amongst these is repairing the country's decaying energy and transport infrastructure, as well as reining in government borrowing. And these early steps are starting to bear fruit. In November last year, South Africa's sovereign credit rating was upgraded for the first time in 20 years. And in June, it posted its third consecutive fiscal surplus, beginning the process of bringing down its debt burden. Things are even getting better at long-suffering Eskom too. After reforms to clean up Eskom and open up the...
Yeah, dog, like South Africa, dog, right now, I feel like, although we do have a lot of clearing issues, there's still like some things that we can say are really fixed. Like, for example, when was the last time you had load shedding, dog? Like, if you're being for real, dog. Me, I haven't had load shedding in such a long time. I even forgot that load shedding was a thing, dog. Like, I literally forgot, dog. So, it's crazy. Which party do you think would change the state of our country? ANC, DA, or Tata Zuma? Tata Zuma for president in Chaka. Zuma for president in Chaka. Obviously, me, dog. Zuma is my goat. Zuma for president. Always. I'm told. Zuma for president. Because Kaiti, Joka Zuma, Mfetu. That 350 is gonna be 1,000 rand in Chaka. I'm told. Get Sepa Zuma. Zuma for president. That was not. Joka Zuma. Zuma. Joka Zuma na kupeleka soko la kadilo bya. Joka umazaga. Everybody Mfetu. Akopolo, I'm told. I'm told. But but if I'm being realistic though, in terms of like the elections, boy, me, I don't think like, boy, this election thing, dog. It feels like I'm picking the person who's gonna tell me what to do, dog. That's why like I'm not really into this whole thing because in Karajo, no dimenu ki and then Noyana he becomes president sharp and then he fucks up and he does that. Yeah, ke lona le mogethile a kwa tlote nna president o mogethile a ka mogeta nna sa re ke president ka nna I didn't choose him. I didn't choose the person who's gonna be the president. Until I got accountability was a country isinka mo ya go tlase ba ba re this is the president that you guys chose. Now was Santenya, now what you guys? That's why I guess I voted. Otherwise, it's not like hey political what. No. It's just that Nagewate hey, you guys choose what. Me, I didn't choose anything. But Nageraba chance.
Generation market to private competition. South Africa.
Obviously, if a person in China is not doing the right job as a president, they can be removed and get while they're still president. So if we see that Malema is not doing nothing, we remove him first. Quick kind of hard. But me, dog, I think we should give him a chance, boy.
Saw 0 days of blackouts last year. The state utility now even produces a power surplus. And on the railroads, freight capacity has started to climb again following market
That's
liberalization,
crazy.
with 20 million tons of extra capacity expected by the end of next year. These green shoots of economic hope are young and fragile, but they demonstrate that the country's problems can be solved with time and pragmatic thinking. And so a successful
I'm
economic
saying,
turnaround for
dog.
South Africa will depend on the survival of this current, more pro-business coalition to chart a transparent, pro-market course. In 2014, then-President Jacob Zuma claimed that the ANC had a divine mandate to rule the country for eternity.
Yeah, boy. So, ANC is always gonna be. It's always gonna be the one that rules, bro. Shit, hey, bro. The chat. I shouldn't have put the chat this big, bro. Hold on. Yeah. Let me just make it a bit smaller. Yeah. Hey, Joe, the ANC is always gonna be at the top, dog. As long as Boko Barona wants a vote, ANC is always gonna be at the top right now, dog. Because remember, dog, when they experience apartheid and all that, so boy, it's chai, boy. So we just have to hope for the next ANC president. Besides, like Ramaphosa, when Ramaphosa steps down, then that person is gonna do a good job. I think. I don't know, bro. But Joe, considering everything that has been said in terms of like this video right now, because we don't have load shedding right now, and you see now apparently now there's a surplus in terms of like Eskom and all that. So would you say, in terms of like some aspects, Ramaphosa actually did a good job somehow? Sky guy, like not saying what like he is doing very good job like that, but. Are we hating too much on him, dog? Like, are we hating too much? Malema. It's gonna be a country of group. Way more. Facts, dog. Facts. Hey, Malema. Hey, Joe, Malema joga awards. I'm fit too. I'm not country I'm not. I'm fit. I'm told. Because I feel like Malema would offer youth a chance in Jaga. He's gonna give the youth the chance. And Malema's the youngest out of them, I think. I'm told. So, hey, Joe, I guess if he's the youngest, dog. Hey, I don't know, dog. Hey, I guess I'm wording to the sexuality. Hey, allegedly. Yeah, I guess well. Last 18 to allegedly. Allegedly, on turn. Joe, Malema Joe, I feel like he's gonna give the youth a chance, boy. That's what I feel personally. So, I don't know, brother.